Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We've played every mission of the mainline Halo video games, and now we're playing every mission from the rest of the games in the franchise in chronological order. Each episode will be discussing our experiences and sprinkle in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be recapping our experience with Halo Wars 2 on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. You can also receive a free audiobook trial by visiting audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. This episode, we're debriefing the Last Stand mission from Halo Wars 2. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Can I retire now?
No, you can't.
Oh,
You
shit.
can't. We have 10 more years of Halo.
Oh my god.
You cannot retire.
Oh my god, I'm gonna be like old then.
Yeah, you'll be like in your late 20s.
Yeah,
last
I'm 15.
Last mission was the Halo. Red Team was reunited on the new Halo and were quickly thrown into defense of Alpha Base. The UNSC pushed back the Banished, but a new threat emerged. A Forerunner Retriever Sentinel. Alice 130, Douglas 042, and Jerome 092 helped destroy the powerful ship-sized drone, but more were deployed to slow down their progress towards accessing the control room. Battling both Banished and Forerunner defenses, the UNSC forces rushed to activate control nodes scattered throughout the area so Anders could take control of the Halo. Now, in Last Stand, while Professor Anders scrambles to disable the Halo's weapon systems, Red Team must defend the control room from one final onslaught by the Banished. Atriox throws everything he has at Captain Cutter in the Spirit of Fire Marines for fear of being stranded on the Ark. The date of the game is April 2nd, 2559. This is not only the last stand, but it's the last mission in the main campaign.
Halo's dead!
But it feels weird because we've come a long way, and we're not done yet. We're going to cover the DLC, so we have more episodes to share with you guys. But like from an official standpoint, this is the last mission. It just feels weird. We've come a long ways. We've been doing it for a while, but it's been fun. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a little bit of a gameplay cutscene, but we'll do the mission briefing as we always do to start. David, do you want to take us through that?
Sure. The mission briefing is after Captain James Cutter, Professor, what's the update of the control room? Anders, I'm in. I think I've found the Halo's weapon systems, and once I've deactivated them, then I'll place the comms beacon. Cutter, again, keep us updated. Jerome, Atriox will be sending everything to stop us. You need to hold the line and protect the Professor in the control room until she's finished her work. Jerome then says, won't let you down, sir. Cutter, the clock's ticking and we don't have time to drop a base and build up. You do kind of have time. You totally could have built up a base. Anyway, you're going to have to rely on turret defenses, so keep them up and running. Fresh troops will be sent in directly from the Spirit of Fire as soon as they are ready to deploy, and I've got all the ship's weapon systems primed and ready, so we'll help as much as we can from up here. Cutter then says, okay everyone, let's get to work. Good luck. So a nice little positive, peppy attitude.
Yep. Very nice. So, just a quick recap on that. Let me go through the mission summary quick. So it says, hold out against Banished long enough for Anders to complete her mission. Okay, so and her mission is she's first going to disable the Halo from being able to be fired, which makes sense because just in case they aren't able to keep the Banished from using the ring or kick them off of the ring, then at least it's disabled. Not to say that they wouldn't be able to figure out how to.
Yeah, they have Huragok on their side.
Right. Yeah. So right, but but she's disabling it, I guess, preemptively, precautionarily, so that it can't be used, and then maybe with thought of that it's going through slip space, so maybe something weird would happen in slip space. I don't know. And then the second. She has two objectives. She has to disable it, and then she also needs to place a comms beacon so that once the ring is transported, if we are able to do that, then it can communicate back to the Ark, and then they can send reinforcements. That's kind of what this whole big plan has been about. The scouting report is make sure you use the Spirit of Fire's full arsenal to support your troops. You won't have access to a fire base. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Objectives are defend the Professor and the control room from the Banished. Hold out for 2 minutes is the second objective. That's at the tail end of the mission. The optional objectives: keep the control room shield over 50% and kill the two brute warlords and stop their reinforcements. Bonus objectives are upgrade the turret deployment. I think it just must be one that you need to upgrade to, one of the specialties. And then kill the commanders, which are the warlords, within 10 minutes. Part time is 20 minutes. Scoring goals are 100,000 for gold. Silver is 42.99. Bronze is 13.239. And there are 2 skulls to unlock. The first is called Nightmare, and that is the control room shield must take less than 25% damage to unlock that one. Nightmare says no checkpoints or saves on any difficulty.
Oh.
Campaign only. Final score increases.
Ugh,
Yep.
sounds awful.
Yeah. But that's let's see here. No checkpoints or saves.
It means...
So you just have to play the mission straight through.
I think it's the whole campaign, right?
Saves coming.
There's no checkpoints in individual missions.
There are every once in a while. Whenever I go back to the saves, if I'll save at like a critical moment before I start building or something like that, there will be like an auto save. So I feel like the auto save is a checkpoint. But
Maybe.
anyway, then there's also another one called Shadow. To unlock that, you need both brute warlords and their reinforcements to be eliminated. So you just need to take out both of the brute warlords, which is one of the objectives. Shadow has all infantry units start cloaked. Final score decreases. Interesting. All right, Krista, what do we have on the battlefield? What's in the toy box?
Yeah, just a couple things, just a couple tiny things. We have our hero units, Alice, Douglas, and Jerome. They're all hanging out. We don't have a fire base. Your units just drop throughout the mission, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so you got to keep them alive somehow.
Yeah, and you get all the units, every single one.
You do.
All units.
Oh, and also
Right.
you get the super special units. You get Grizzly tanks from Halo Wars 1.
Totally
And
forgot they were in this.
also, you get something else, and it's called the Condor. And if there was
Fuck
anything
yeah.
that could steal away the Vulture for me, as my one true love, it would be the Condor. That thing is like a super pelican.
It's
Oh,
massive.
it's incredible.
Yeah, it's super cool, and you get one of them eventually. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And yeah, it does lots of damage. So enjoy that in this mission if you didn't already. What else you got?
We have all of the Spirit of Fire abilities fully upgraded, which is like amazing.
Yeah, that was nice. You didn't have to deal with any of the points.
Oh
or
yeah, it's
anything like that.
perfect.
And then you have a new Spirit of Fire ability called Close Air Support. I didn't use it.
You didn't use it?
No.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, Krista, it's so
the
good.
It's the, like a bunch of pelicans come in, right?
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah, I should have used that on the Scarab. I didn't think to do that.
It's you just like put it in a point somewhere on the map, and they'll circle around, just kill everything. It's great.
And Banished units, all of the Banished units, especially
Yeah.
Scarabs.
Multiple scarabs. Yes.
2
don't care about them
Scarabs, I
anymore.
repeat, 2 Scarabs. Except there are 3.
Right.
Oh my god, it's better than that mission in Halo 3.
All right. Yeah. Well, it is. It's more scarabs actually.
Yeah, the more Scarabs, the better. We all know that. If you want a mission to be good, you just add more Scarabs to it.
Absolutely. So the mission then starts with. I mean, it's got some good music going on. We kind of pan up to the discussion between Red Team and Cutter and pretty much everybody's talking in this throughout the whole mission to each other, communicating like, hey, we gotta stop the Banished from getting to this control room, and the control room has a nice little bubble over the top, so a little shield, and your main objective is just to stop them from taking down that shield. If they take down that shield, mission's over. You gotta restart it. Andrew's dead. So So, but the interesting thing about this one is you don't have the fire base, as Krista mentioned. You just get fed units. Well, you start with a good number of units, but then slowly throughout the mission, you're fed units. So you need to do your best to kind of split them up into different squads throughout the mission, and keep them alive. Use all your Spirit of Fire abilities that to maximize how many units you have on there to deflect the Banished, and eventually we get a hold out. So I'm curious how it went for you, David. How did you enjoy this mission? Did you like doing this versus like the base building? We've been learning.
Yeah, I found this mission complete and utter fun. I thought it was brilliant.
Nice.
It's a great way to end the game, I think. Giving you everything, unlocking all the powers, infinite resources. Just go have fun. I thought it was brilliant. It was a very good way to do it. Having like all the forces drop in periodically was actually great fun. I didn't find it difficult at all on normal. It was tough enough in certain points because like you need to divide your forces up pretty quick at the start and garrison as much as you can, which is pretty much what I did, and then just bring your nightingales around and healing people and building up. I had like one like roving force I kind of moved around to where the fight was tough, and then used this force to take out the warlords.
Okay, so you didn't divide as much. You kind of used one big mass.
Yeah, as more and more units came in, I realized I had more than I needed, so I started splitting them up, putting the grizzlies in certain places and moving the tanks around, and I eventually had like a good spread of units in different places, which I thought was fun to slowly build up your force like that and to distribute it in different ways. Yeah, great fun.
So you went and got the warlords at some point?
I did. I don't know what happened in this game. I got gold. I got crazy points in this. I did everything. I got all the fucking things. It was fun. Like I just had a blast playing this today, because I totally forgot about the Grizzlies, that they were in this game at all.
Yeah.
I think I knew they were multiplayer and stuff, but having the Grizzlies was awesome, and everything's fully upgraded. Didn't they show up at
some other point? I thought they showed up
in
like
this game?
On an Alice mission or something like that. But I could be wrong.
God, I can't remember. I didn't think so, but I also could be wrong. Who knows?
So what did you scramble right away to put up turrets?
Yes, I bounced around on my turrets.
Them?
I did indeed.
Okay.
Did a various mix. I didn't do any anti-air stuff because I thought it'd be fine, and that actually worked out fine. Because by the time air units come in, I had a crap ton of hornets and vultures spread out around, and the Condor.
Yeah.
Totally forgot the Condor was in this game, so that was incredible. This fucking uber weapons platform, it's mental. I loved it.
What about Spirit of Fire abilities did you use the most?
I used a lot of turret drops, ODSTs every time I could think of it. I just banged them down everywhere. I had a blast with them. I just love ODSTs.
And there's no limit to how many units you can have, right? And there's not even the counter or anything on the screen.
There's not even supplies or anything.
Right.
Yeah. No, there must be a limit to the amount of times you can span the ODSTs. Maybe the cooldown gets longer or something, but I always had them when I needed them. But I didn't think to just constantly spam them every time I could. I dropped mines once or twice just because. And when I saw the Pelican, what's it called again?
Condor?
The newest power. No, the new leader power.
Air support.
Closed air support. When I saw that and read the description, I was like, what the fuck? I have no memory of this. And I dropped it down on like a blob of enemies, and I was like, holy shit. It wasn't at all what I was expecting. Like these three or four uber maxed out to the fuck Pelicans with weapons everywhere, and they're just blasting rockets and machine gun. It looks so damn cool, and they just kind of go in like a rotating circle that's pretty wide. I dropped one on one of the scorpions, one of the scarabs, and I was like, this is an awesome fight just to sit and watch. I just had a blast. I thought it was so good.
And they last for a little bit. It's like
they last way longer than I expected. Yeah,
at least 30 seconds, maybe longer.
Yeah, that was pretty damn good. This is probably the only map that I never used leader drones because I just had so many nightingales at different points. I had no problems with them, and a bunch of archer missiles because they're always fun.
Yeah, I used them quite a bit too. Chris, I hope you're. Oh, good.
No, I had it in the back of my mind to use the hologram just to see what it does. But I totally forgot to do it.
I used it a couple times.
Did you? What does
weird.
it do?
It just drops a little Spartan in there, and
Okay.
I think he just draws fire.
Does he move?
I didn't really pay attention. I just kind of did it. I was like,
I wonder
okay,
if it's I wonder if it's a controllable unit that you can just move places and people follow it or something.
It might be, yeah.
The way it, yeah. Anyway. Cool.
Krista, how'd your experience go?
Oh, it was pretty easy actually, even on heroic.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Would you start out with?
So the first thing I did was distribute my units to. There were like 4 major lanes in this map. So
Yeah.
I distributed most of my units to the 4 lanes and garrisoned the Marines, and then my Spartans and my Spartans and a couple other units stayed around the control room.
Okay, so you kept them close.
Yeah, and the Spartans just kind of became the catch-all where they kind of went where they were needed, but I liked to keep them around the control room just in case something slipped past me. And then of course I threw the turrets everywhere. Usually I did anti-vehicle and then anti-infantry for the ones that have 2.
Yeah, you don't really need air till the very end.
No. And yeah, every time something was dropped, I kind of just picked a lane for it to live in and put it there.
So did you squat? Because we've talked about how you can squat up your units. Did you use that mechanic at all, or did you just kind of select a bunch of guys?
No, I just
Move
kind of
them
selected
over
a
there.
bunch of guys.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I just, like, when the Grizzlies came down, the tanks came down first, and I think there were 2 of them, so I gave 2 lanes tanks, and then the Grizzlies came down, there were 2 of them, so the ones that didn't have tanks got Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of how it went. I think the Condor sat on one of the lanes and just kind of stayed there, and that lane just didn't have as much stuff in it. But,
What did you think about the Condor? So they introduced that the Scarabs are coming, and then pretty much immediately after that, you get the Condor. How did you feel about that introduction to the Condor?
I thought it was great, because you hear the Scarab coming, you're like, oh shit. And they're like, if it gets anywhere near the control room, we're dead. It's like, oh
Right.
shit. They're like, well, we have an experiment. You're like, oh shit. And that thing rips apart. Even on heroic, it ripped apart that Scarab. The Scarab did not last very long.
Yeah, I don't think I used this special ability at all. Do you remember what it was?
It's like a barrage.
Just like all of the missiles and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
I pressed it, but I didn't see what happened in like all the madness that was happening in the fight that I pressed it on. So like I had no idea.
Yeah, this mission I feel like I wanted to watch what was going on a lot, but you really can't. You have to scramble. There's a couple down moments, but you really have to scramble, moving your enemies around and trying to. I don't know. It's almost like the old cartoon where the waterfall has a hole in it, or the dam has a hole in it, and you go plug the hole, and then like another hole pops out over there, so you have to constantly like move your armies around.
That's a good analogy. But yeah, it was pretty much just putting those units in those lanes and just kind of waiting. It wasn't that hard. It was a lot of fun though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and did you do the Warlords? Did you go take those guys out?
No, it was heroic. I was too lazy to do that.
You just left them?
Yeah.
Did they? So they didn't come out. They just hung out there.
No, they just hung out there, I guess.
In their corners.
I didn't really see them at all.
Yeah, I played it on both normal and heroic. I took out the Warlords on both. Really, the way that I took them out on both of them is I just used close air support, and I did archer missile. I like sent a wad of my units over there, and then just did like dropped close air support, dropped archer missiles, and it just melted everything within 10 seconds. So then I just, because they're early on in the mission, it tells you the Warlords are there, it kind of puts them onto the map, and then it's right before a little bit of a lull, so you can go and just by then you have a lot of forces, not as many as the end, but you have a good amount. So I just moved a bunch of forces over there, melted one of them, then brought everybody back to the middle, waited a little bit longer for a lull, and then sent them over to get the other warlords. So it wasn't too difficult to clean those up. I felt like it was a little bit difficult to. What I should have done, and I didn't do this, and I think it was the whole squad mechanic. It's kind of leading up to this, where ideally you're micromanaging your units so that you have a good mix of units to kind of put in all of those holes that pop up right from the dam, and then you can as reinforcements come, you just go and like plop in, or fill in the gaps that from the units that have been destroyed. But I didn't on either difficulty. I didn't really feel the need to do that. I just, for the most part, I either like what you did, Krista, selected everybody, or just did all units. And like if a bunch of people were coming on one lane, I was like, okay, everybody go over there. And then every once in a while, a couple Banished would pop through and start, like 1 or 2 little brute grunt combo. One of those little squads would come in and just start shooting the control room shield. And Anders would pop on. It's like, they're getting my shield down. And so then you just really have to go around and clean up one of those guys. So, yeah, it wasn't too bad. The Scarab fight was fun, or I guess the multiple Scarab fights were fun. I'm glad it was a fun moment when they gave you the Condor to move up to that Scarab, and then at the very end, I guess David, what was your experience at the very end when you kind of get the 2 minutes? Like the music starts to pump up a little bit,
really
and you
fun.
you feel it. You're like, okay, I gotta hold out. Did your shield get down to a point where it was a concern, or
No, not at all.
were you plowing through the whole time?
I was pretty good the whole time. There was when the 3 Scarabs came, I focused on the 2 on the outside. I didn't actually think that the one in the middle would climb and go continue straight on. I thought it would come to the left or to the right. So I was like, grand, I'll clear the one on either side and just move the rest of my forces over. So I dropped down my Pelicans, the close air support, dropped down a bunch of ODSTs and a turret on one just to hold it up. I had 2 kind of major forces at this end, so I just called everybody up and just a Condor on one with a bunch of vultures, everything else more or less on the second one. And then like I got them down pretty good, and then I turned around and realized the 3rd Scarab just went in a straight line up and over the walls and then started attacking the shield. I was like, "Oh, bastard!" So again, a quick turret drops and some ODSTs to hold them up, and then I just brought my 2 forces to the left and right of them. It was awesome.
Nice.
And then they just totally demolished this Scarab. It was great fun.
So did you destroy them all, or just a couple of them?
Oh, yeah.
Before the time ran out?
I wiped everything off this map.
You did.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Nice work, Krista. Were you able to do that on heroic?
I got 2 out of 3 on heroic.
Nice. Yeah. And you felt good about that?
Yeah, I felt very good about that. And I was like, okay, that works.
I was panicked at the end, especially when I was playing on heroic, because I had already had a red bar at some point because I let too many Banished squeak through and start pelting me. And so at the end, when I finally got 2 minutes and I knew the 3 Scarabs were coming, I was like, oh crap, here we go. But I was able to use that. Close air support is huge, so I used that I think on one of the Scarabs and just kind of send everybody. It's nice because the majority of the units come from the top lanes on the map, so you can kind of spread them out up on top there to stop the Scarabs, at least slow them down and distract them from taking down the control room shield. And then by then the timer's almost there, and you get to the end. I'm trying to think of any major. There's like talking going on throughout. So let's see here. Anders. Oh, that's right. So you have right at the 2 minute mark. I think is that when Anders goes down into the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
she initially disables the weapon system, and then she says she plants a communication. What does she do? She sets up something to do with the communications, but she still has to go down and plant a communications beacon specifically on the ring, which is, I guess, I thought we were on the ring, but she has to put it inside the ring somewhere.
Yeah, she goes like down. The control room's like down in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So like she's at this terminal, which you're protecting her, and you can see her the entire time. But like halfway through, she goes into the ring, like underneath.
Right. Yeah, she says, got a little more complicated. I'm going to have to go down into the ring to set up the beacon. I'm going to need a little more time. And shortly after she says that is when the 2 minutes come up. Before that, she says she disarmed. The ring is disarmed and the communications relay is in place. So she was able to do that in the same place, disarming the ring and putting this relay. But then a beacon, it must be a physical beacon that needs to be put down somewhere else. Anything else before we do cutscene?
No, this
Anything
mission's
else?
pretty straightforward. There's not too much to really talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It's straightforward. You guys are both seem positive on it. My critique, I guess my frustration with this is that it's fun that it gives you everything, but it also, I feel like we've been leading up to this mission where it's like we've been slowly being given the ability to create more and more and use our our points that we get for our Spirit of Fire abilities and try to be strategic about this. And then at the very end, it says, "Oh, just have everything. Just do it. And here's a bunch of units." It kind of takes that strategic element away. I mean, sure, there's the tactical element of moving everything around in this mission, but it does take away the multiple ways to attack this and not having that fire base. And I don't know how they would do it. If you had the fire base, so they have to be like right there in the middle somehow or something like that. And then like everything would have to be ultra, like, you could spit it out super fast. But that was a little bit weird to take away those choices.
See, I saw this as like you are forced to use every single unit you get. You need to understand what every single unit does to be good at this mission. And I think that's the nice thing about it, is it's forcing you to use all these units, because you know me, I just make Hornets and Vultures and that's all I'd use on this mission, but this mission makes me use every single unit to their advantage. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I felt yes, I get that in theory, but I felt like I didn't really, when I was moving around my unit, my armies, most of the time it was just a big wad. I didn't feel like I was specifically choosing. Like a couple times, it's like, okay, I'll put a Scorpion here and this and that. But a lot of times when I was just in trouble, it's like, I need everybody over here.
Oh.
I didn't necessarily feel like I specifically chose all my Hornets to counteract the vehicles or my Marines because there's some air units, that sort of thing.
See, I set up all my Marines in the garrisons because I knew they worked well there. Same. And then I set up a Cyclops, made sure I had at least one Cyclops on every single lane to take care of the vehicles, and then, a tank of some kind to have the heavy artillery, and then once Wolverines came in, I put the Wolverines down at strategic part, usually the higher parts of the level, so that they could get the Banshees easier. So I just tried to make sure that each unit was doing what they needed to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. David, any other thoughts on that? Kind of, I guess, counteracting what I mentioned.
Sorry.
I enjoyed it. I know what you mean.
It's fine.
You like the building and learning. I like the weird levels that give you like units and you just kind of have to make do with them. Like, I love that sniper mission. That's one of my favorites. And I actually love this one just because it was different and it was based on reinforcements. You had to think about the units you had and make them last as long as you can.
Yeah.
Like, pretty easy on normal, to be perfectly honest. I mean, just garrison your shit up and you should be fine, do you know what I mean? But no, I thought it was cool. I don't mind the hold and defend kind of style that this one had. But like, they totally could have given you a base if they wanted to. Well, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference.
Interestingly enough, as I open the strategy guide that I keep referencing, it says one of the sections, every mission has a little section about kind of like how they developed the mission. So this one says, the mission originally included base building, with players attempting to turn off all the taps of enemies. I guess that's like where the enemies start on the map. So to turn off all the taps of enemies flooding their base. We made a direction change to focus the mission more on using leader powers to defend the base, rather than traditional base building, so that the gameplay beat felt unique amongst the other defensive missions. So to your point, David, they felt like we've already done enough of the base building stuff. It's like in the last mission we did a lot of that, kind of maximized, and we had everything at our disposal. So for this final mission, they wanted to just focus on other things, and I'd probably just let the players have fun, which is what you were talking about.
Yeah, because the nice thing is that you don't have to be micromanaging your buildings or like your units or anything like that. You get to just fight. You don't have to worry about unit creation. You don't have to worry about resource allocation. You just get to fight shit.
Yep. And I appreciate, I think it seems to be a trend with gaming, and I kind of expect it now, is like the second to last mission is usually the hardest. and then the final mission of a campaign is usually a lot of fun. Or I guess I appreciate it more when the final mission of a campaign is just all about being all about fun and being overpowered. Because like I've put in all these hours, I've worked so hard to finally get to this point, versus like having this final hurdle that's just so painful to finally beat, you know, some boss or whatever it is. It tends to strip away some of the fun of the final mission.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, I can see that too. But from my perspective, from the strategic side of things, it would have been nice to somehow, instead of maybe it's just like, instead of them giving you units, saying like, which units do you want now, and just like saying, okay, here's your menu, I want these 3, give me those. You know, it's just something a little tweaked.
That would be interesting, like almost kind of like Halo 4's dropping system, where you got to choose between like 4 different guns. So you got
right?
Yeah, you got to choose between like 4 different units, and maybe one of the units is like anti-air, one of them's anti-vehicle, one of them is, you know, tanks and warthogs. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can kind of customize your experience to what you need.
Yep. Before we talk about cutscene and story elements and stuff like that, I do want to mention that if you've played the game, I don't know, if you've completed every mission to its maximum, you know, like with all the objectives and whatnot leading up to this mission, and played on heroic and or legendary, you're gonna get a lot of achievements after.
Oh my god!
After beating this, you get to pop. There's a achievement for all skulls. There's an achievement for all objectives. There's an achievement for completing on heroic, and then a separate one for legendary.
Did you get him, Colin? Did you get him?
Well, hold on.
Did you get him, Colin?
There's one for getting gold on each level. There's one for completing all the campaign logs. There's one for completing just the full campaign, and there's one for completing the last stand specifically. So there's like 7 or 8 that you can just pop. And we all love that. You know, we're all Xbox fans, so we love getting those achievements. I have not quite finished them all. I still need to get gold on one more mission, and then I need to beat one more mission on heroic. So I still have to go do 2 more missions before I get those final 2. But the rest of them I do have now.
Do you guys ever
do you
guys ever look at the achievement list before you play a game to structure your playthrough to get as many achievements as physically possible in one run? Because I do that all the time. It's so much fun.
It really depends on the type of game it is. If it's a story-based game and a game that I'm playing for the story, I never look. I always play through one totally clean.
Yeah.
If it's a game that's like, I don't know, like it's run-based, procedurally generated, doesn't have that much of a story, I might look ahead and just see what kind of things I should be looking to do in the game. I definitely do that. But for some reason, the Halo War games have never appealed to me for achievement hunting. I just have not gone into them.
There's a lot of multiplayer ones, that's why.
Yeah, that's the problem. I hate multiplayer achievements. I wish there weren't. I wish they didn't exist. I do like just the getting achievements all at once is great. And also, like, speaking on looking ahead of achievements and, you know, playing a story-based game and worrying about spoilers, most games like make them secret if they're gonna have spoilers. So usually you can look through an achievement list and not be super spoiled on what you're about to do.
That's a good point. Yeah, but it is a little bit of a risk. You're like, oh, because it'll say like you use something like in this one. I think there's one around the scarab. Maybe it's like, oh, there's a scarab in this mission.
Yeah.
So I know some people that play Halo games, like the newest Halo game, they don't look at the achievements. Yeah. Because they don't want that to be spoiled. But yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah, but so yeah, I gotta go do a little bit of cleanup, and then I'll probably get some of the multiplayer ones. There's some Blitz ones and some other stuff that I'll probably attempt to get. But all right, let's do the end of the game.
What?
The campaign. David, what happens in this cutscene?
Well, Colin, a lot happens in this cutscene. The opening scene is pretty incredible. I love the imagery here of the ring rising up out of the arc. Again, it really plays with the sense of scale, because we know how big a ring is. Look at this fucking thing.
Right.
It's awesome. As it rings up, the music's incredible. It kind of zooms in and turns, and it shows like a battlefield. You see like the Banished fighting in woods and stuff like that. There's different vehicles and stuff launching. They're fighting the humans. It looks like they're kind of losing a little bit. They look kind of retreating. Artillery kind of comes in. That looks really awesome. All these kind of warhogs pulling up, and I've always loved the imagery of the pelicans coming in and dropping stuff off. That's just so it's always good. And then That's
Especially
like,
when they show the weight, like
yeah,
just like
and you
shaking.
feel it, and I love that. Yeah, it's coming in, it's dropping scorpions, and they're immediately firing, and it's a cool moment. And then Jerome comes in and kind of jumps off his well, it might be Jerome. It's kind of impossible to tell, and he's just like there, kind of like he pops a BR I think over his shoulder, and he just kind of says, "Yeah, we're here. We're out of the range." Then it cuts to like Anders in the control room. In the coolest fucking control room of all the Halos.
Yeah.
And she just seems to have an instinctive knack for this because she's quite good. She pretty much dials up the ring. She, with her fingers, draws like around the banished forces, and it looks like then that the system automatically just cordons off the appropriate section in like this weird shape, and big shields kind of come up and separate the banished forces from the humans. And then you see her, like, a bristleback kind of, like, shoot at it, and it doesn't do anything. And then you see her just kind of, like, I hope this works. And she picks up, in the hologram, that section. And you just see it cutting to, like, what's happening. And she's just pushing it out, like, ejecting that section of the ring. And then she kind of pauses for a sec. And I think she kind of, like, really, obviously, the weight of the moment. Because she just kind of says, I hope this works. And she just flicks it up. And then it cuts to this amazing scene of the human soldiers watching this big lump of earth move up of the ring, and it's just like it flies up. Like the force of it is incredible, and the guys are just like, "What the fuck?"
It's so cool.
It cuts to space and it cuts to silence, which I love. I love it when things do this, and you just see the segment small break apart like a little piece of dust. And you're like, there are like hundreds of units there just murdered in space.
She just murdered them all.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
awesome. And then pretty much the troops kind of bugger off. They're getting off the ring because the original plan.
So real quick, my
Sorry,
only I guess question about that is like all these banished, weren't they all around the control room?
Yeah,
So,
I
like,
was
it's not
thinking
super
that
clear where the
too.
control room is in.
Maybe they were
That's-
reinforcements heading to the control room or something.
Sure.
I know it kind of looked like humanity was evacuating. I'm not like even before this. I don't know. It's a weird structure the way
They
they
mentioned
showed
like
this.
at the very end of the mission when we were playing it, like, "Hey, we're all in the clear. You're up, Anders." So.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's the geography's weird there, but it pretty much then becomes apparent that like Anders is not going to make it. She can't get out, and when it cuts them back to the screen, like she can't get out to the drop point. It's so fucking badass of watching this ring go into a slipspace portal.
Yeah.
And Cutter is like, "What's happening? Get out of there!" And you can see her message kind of breaking up. She says, "I'm going to try and get the message out. I'll make sure the beacon goes on. I'll try and find my way back to you." And then she's gone. And then Cutter has like a moment or two of like, "Fuck." And he's like, "Right, Isabel's like, the rest of our forces are 5 minutes away." He's like, "Pull up the map. We got work to do."
Yeah.
And it's just him showing. And then it has a cool transition of his map turning into Atriox's map. And then he's just like smashing the thing. He's pissed off. He's angry. And then he kind of turns around and walks towards the edge of the cliff, which turns out is the sequence. We've seen this shot before of him just kind of surveying like all his forces out in front of him. And there's a crap ton of them. So it's just to kind of give you a thing that like the forces are still here. The battle is not yet won. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
It's like a to be continued moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally is. It's a finish this fight moment of Halo Wars.
Yeah.
But it's pretty damn cool. I have to say, like, overall, there was a cool bit of dialogue between Cutters and Aatrox at the end of the mission as well. I thought that was pretty cool of them just like quipping back and forth, like Cutter like totally in like the vibe of like, I've won. Do you know what I mean? I've taken this from you. And,
there was actually only one line from Atriox. I forgot to mention that, but it says, let's see. Oh, Isabel says that Atriox is on the comms, and so this is again during the gameplay. And Cutter says, "Okay, put him through." Atriox says, "You think you can stand against me? I, who defied the Covenant itself?" It's an interesting line. So he's got a lot of hubris going on. But still, one of the frustrations that we've talked about throughout the entire thing, we still don't know his motivation. We still don't know that. Maybe the Phoenix log that Krista has will bring a little bit more of that to light. But he's feeling like I can't be stopped. I defeated more or less or defected effectively from the Covenant. So how are you gonna stop me, or how are you gonna put up a fight against me?
Like this, bitch. Boom. I totally forgot about what happens next. Like, I have no memory of it whatsoever.
Oh, really? Okay.
Do you want to talk about it straight away, or do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, no, I think let's talk about that, and then we'll do trivia stuff. So this is the stinger. This is the post credits. So
the credits
it ends,
play,
and then we get post credits.
Yeah, you push the button, skip the credits, because that's what we do.
I always watch the credits on the first playthrough.
Good for you.
I do sometimes too.
And read the names and remember everybody that
memorize.
No, I just let it roll and just enjoy the ambiance and enjoy picking out a name or two and being like, oh, I bet that person's really cool.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, as you should. I mean, everybody needs their due. There's a lot of people that make these games, so you should at least have a chance to appreciate that.
I think that's why people don't watch the credits, because they're like an hour long on most games now.
Yeah, they are a lot.
They're pretty hefty. A new cutscene plays. It is the ring going through slip space, which is fucking so cool.
Oh,
it is so cool to see a ring go through slip space.
This cutscene plays on any level. So this isn't the legendary ending. There isn't a legendary ending. This is just the post-credit ending.
Yeah,
that you
that's
get.
cool. It kind of and then it shows like the surface of the ring as well, like all these trees as you're going to slip space. Shows Anna's in the control room, and then it kind of like she gets kicked out of slip space, and she's like, "What the hell happened there? How did we get kicked out of slip space?" And like a lift just kind of flows down. So she walks onto this lift, comes back up to the surface. You see her walking down in the mud, and then like a blue light, loads of like wind and stuff moving around, and then she goes, "I think we would have been safer on the Ark." Yes. And again, it kind of pans up to a Guardian, and I was like, "What the fuck? I don't remember this."
So good. No, I love shit.
Yeah, what a tie into Halo 5 there, man. That's awesome.
Yes.
I did not remember this. I don't know why, but that's just such a cool thing. So it kind of makes you think about like all the potentials going into like Halo Infinite. Like, does Cortana have control of this ring?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I also think that it kind of solidifies the point that Atriox and Cutter are not getting off the ring anytime soon.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Because communication was cut off, right? Like the portal's gone. We still don't exactly know how Atriox got there. We still don't know how Cutter got there. They're just like isolated out at the Ark, and no one can get there. It's so far. I mean, you can get there, but it takes like months, right? Humans know where it is, but it takes us a really long time to get there.
It's outside of the galaxy.
Yeah, right. This ring, the ring at the end of Halo 5. So we still don't know what the ring at the end of Halo 5 is, but this makes you kind of think it's this ring.
At the end of Halo 5, interesting. Yeah, maybe.
You know, the legendary ending.
Yeah. I always assumed it was Zeta, but maybe it's this one. Because I was also thinking today, like, it makes way more sense for this to be the ring in Halo Infinite. If the Banished is on it, like, there are so many easy ways that you could have linked this game to Infinite, with like you fighting over this ring that suddenly appeared in a period of space where there wasn't one. Like, it makes sense that like Cortana would rush to it, that the Banished are already on it, that humanity would run to it, and right there you've got.
Well, the Banished aren't on it anymore.
Fighting. No, but I'm saying
they
could have easily written them in and let them remain on this ring. Do you know what I mean? And have it teleported out, and then have humanity fight over it and then lose or whatever. But that would have been cool.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris Aiken a little bit before the recording of this, because he's our Halopedia deep lore expert, and he just confirmed, like, we don't know what the ring is. It could be any ring technically at the end of Halo 5. You know, this kind of implies that it might be this one. But then he also reminded me that Halo, a lot of those cutscenes, like at the beginning, like with Halo 4 when Halsey's getting interrogated, and then at the beginning of Halo 5 when she's in her workshop with her journal and whatnot. A lot of those times, those scenes aren't necessarily in the timeline of the game.
Yeah.
And then even like the voiceovers aren't in the timeline with the game. Like at the end of Halo 5 when the Didact's all of a sudden talking, but like the screen, like what you're seeing visually is New Phoenix and how all those people got composed. So it's not. I guess it just makes it more so up in the air like that legendary ending of the Halo 5, that ring could really be anything. Could be a ring that we haven't been on, the 1 or 2, or it could be Zeta, or it could be this one. There's lots of they could tie that into the larger story a lot of different ways.
Which is good storytelling.
I think so. I mean, I would imagine it'll get answered in the next game, but we'll find out.
Or in the next book.
Ooh,
That's right.
maybe.
Could be. Any other thoughts on this cutscene, Krista?
It's badass and I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. This whole game, and we still have more cutscenes. No, there's good cutscenes in the Awakening of the Nightmare, but this whole game has just beautiful cutscenes for us. Very good. Lots of good story stuff in Halo Wars 2. I feel like Halo Wars 2 is worth playing, and we'll talk about it in our recap. It's worth playing, but you can get majority of the story just by watching all these cutscenes too.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, not there's that many, but it does pull out the major story beats that might carry through. All right, let's do trivia. What do you got?
Trivia. I have not the greatest of stuffs, but here we go. This is the only level where the G81 Condor gunship appears in the campaign. Duh.
Okay.
This level is similar to From the Deep, where Alice 130's base is surrounded by the Banished. Not really a treat of trivia to just make comparison to previous levels. Anyway, this is the only level where the player gets infinite population and resources, as units will keep being reinforced through LZs, and the player cannot establish a fire base on this level. This is the only level where the player has to deal with multiple Banished super units. All leader powers are unlocked, maximized, and cooldown has also been reduced by around 50%. All units are also fully upgraded on this level. I do love that. There is... Yeah, it just pretty much says, like, it is unknown what happened to the UNSC base south of this level that the player previously used in the Halo.
Yeah.
But it is likely the base has been dismantled or taken back to the Ark or the Spirit of Fire if it wasn't destroyed. I never thought of these bases being, like, temporary and dismantleable.
Yeah.
I would imagine so,
Retrievable.
yeah.
I never even
plop them
thought
down,
of that.
So might as well take them back up. Makes
That's
sense.
interesting. That's a cool idea.
They're modular.
Modular. Yeah, donezo.
Cool. Did anybody... So, Andrews didn't pack a bag. Like, don't you think she would have run out there with, like, a cooler or some sandwiches in it or something like
Couple
that?
beers.
No,
Like,
she's
gonna
fucked.
be on this ring by herself for a while.
Well, the thing is, rings are supposed
Yeah.
are meant to sustain life anyway.
So she was just gonna forage.
Well.
You would have to, yeah.
Go out there and hunt some Forerunner animals.
Yeah, or you just find strange berries and mushrooms, and you just eat them and hope they don't kill you,
She's resourceful. I like that.
I'm sure you can make things.
What's the Phoenix log have to say, Chris? I'm so curious.
Alright, the Phoenix log is called Beyond the Edge. Captain James Cutter, SN 01730583992-JC. Spirit of Fire, date 4/2/2559. Once again, I say goodbye to a colleague and a friend. The new Halo installation has disappeared through the slipspace portal, far out of the reach of Atriox's hands, but it took Professor Anders with it. I know the professor will be okay. Her intelligence and resourcefulness will see her safely back to her lab in no time. But I will miss her, and our family is a little smaller without her. There's plenty to keep us occupied here. The portal to Earth is still closed, and as far as I'm concerned, it should remain so until we fully evaluate the threat the Banished pose to it. However, I have ordered Isabel to start investigating the portal's controls in the event that we need to open it, or close it in the future. The Ark is our new home for now, and the Banished threat is too great to leave it unguarded until we establish contact with the UNSC forces back home. For now, Atriox seems to be licking his wounds, but we know he still has forces active in the darkest corners of the Ark, and it won't be long before he mobilizes them once again. This time we'll be ready for him. Yes, I have said goodbye to another friend, and we are again cut off from the rest of humanity. But this time it's different. We know that the Covenant War has been won, and the new future awaits us back home, perhaps our families as well. For now, we have a purpose, something to fight for, and we'll do it together on our new home.
Nice.
That's weird to bury that like that. That would have been a cool.
That should have been the
I
end
think.
cutscene. I don't know
Like
why.
a voiceover.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they totally could have done that better, I think.
Yeah, maybe it was supposed to be a cutscene. They just couldn't figure it in or something like that. But it's so sad.
Yeah. Well, and so the final cutscene, I guess, before the ring thing, it shows how many forces the Banished have. Like, they have an overwhelming amount of forces still. So it's not like Cutter's gonna go toe to toe with Atriox while they're both there, but the Spirit of Fire is like floating safely above.
That's what I'm
Ark.
gonna say. At least now he has the advantage of, being the only starship in the system. I think,
Right.
So
Unless
they
Atriox
have it,
figures out how to activate some Forerunner ships that are down there, but in theory, they're safely floating above, while the Banished are down below, all pissed off and grumbly. But they also could be figuring out secrets, and so I would imagine, from here, Cutter's would do a similar campaign against Atriox, where he'd be like slowly chipping away at him and things like that. It's pretty much exactly what we've been doing. There's no threat of this on the Spirit of Fire directly, but he still can't just like send everybody down, because they've talked about like the limited number of Marines, right? There was like 11,000 souls or something like that at some point, but it seems like the Banished have a lot more numbers, so it's just it's almost like a little bit of a stalemate at this point, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, what are they gonna do? I mean,
right.
At this point, the Banished would probably go for the Spirit of Fire, though, because it doesn't have slip space engines, but at least has something.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
mean, but the Spirit of
so,
Fire
like,
is above, so like I don't think they'll ever like attack the Spirit of Fire at this point. I think they just have to let it be there so that they could hopefully use it at some point.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in Atriox shoes, you'd be, you have all these forces, you'd be trying to figure out how to use the technology on the Ark to either get to the Spirit of Fire or to figure out a way to get off the Ark or send for help or something, right?
Yeah, and it seems that Cutter wants to just stay here and make sure Atriox doesn't leave.
Yeah,
he's
just like...
They could probably make a slip space engine with some of the Forerunner technology that's on the Ark. They could eventually make something like that.
And they have engineers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's true actually.
But I think they want to stay here and keep Atriox on the Ark and make sure he doesn't leave.
Yep, just keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But meanwhile, there are a lot of places they could take the story, and we'll do DLC. So Operation Spearbreaker has something to say, and then Awakening the Nightmare has something to say. It advances the story a little bit, from what I recall. But
Awakening the Nightmare has a lot of dumb stuff to say. They make some dumb decisions.
Yeah, but some cool things. Yeah,
I think
some
that's
really
just a bit of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do shows on those. I'm not sure if we're gonna do a recap on each one or how we're gonna do it, but we'll sort that out as we start attacking those missions. Yeah, so that is it. We have community to wrap up. So what's Facebook have to say on our community question?
Facebook has the following: Colin Perkins, admin, August 31st at 4:23 p.m. It's been a month since Professor Anders took the Halo ring through the slip space to contact Earth. Reinforcements have still not arrived. What should Captain Cutter do to help boost morale? Question for Mission Debrief, Halo Wars 2, The Last Stand mission.
Naked
Here we go.
party.
Matthew Blankenship says, cookout. Throw some big chunks of meat on a repurposed Forerunner grill. Bake bread with Atriox and see if peace can be made. I mean, everyone likes food. Thomas says, Spirit of Fire Disco. Lance says, pool party. Jesse, beer and cornhole. Manny says, multiply. Ethan, play chess with vehicles and they can make on the Spirit, or charades with Cyclopses. Storm, have a throwback party with everyone's favorite food. Make a movie night, everyone's favorite movie, and have some movies. You can't forget that trivia night. Dave says, weed, lots of weed. If that doesn't work, a little LSD in the drinking water. Then there's a bit of a drug talk going on. Richard says jam sandwiches. Chad, launch coordinated strikes on several soft targets to keep the Banished off their feet and give easy victories to the troops. There's Chad with the serious answer.
Right.
There we
That's
go.
probably what actually is happening.
Yeah. Richard says nacho dip and cheesy cob loaf. Brad says post photos all over the ship of Beard King David. That's me.
What?
Hashtag best host. And how can one not have low Mermel when staring at that majestic facial hair? There you go, Krista. Suck it. Charles says you got a like. Brad, there you go. It's a like for you. Charles says find a landing spot away from hostile territory on the Ark and set an or base on the beach with heavy AA defenses as well as long-range rhino positions. Boom, safety has been established. Now it's time for a lovely day at the beach. That sounds nice. Santiago says Spartan can dance. Lucas says get Samuel and motherfucking Jackson to come and explain why they need to get Chief's Warhog back. I think that was a weird E3 thing they did.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, do you remember that? And then finally, Jason says take the crew to a titty bar.
Yeah.
There we go.
Would it be
Morale
the
established.
who would be dancing? Would it be
It'd be
Joe Collins?
Alice.
Don't do it. Oh, you had to do it. Colin.
In full armor, too.
Yeah, Alice, just Alice.
Yeah, just full armor. Alice. They should do what they did in Star Trek and just do poker night every single night.
Right. All right, what does Discord have to say? I'm sure they got some fun stuff.
Have you looked at it? I can only imagine your rage. Okay. Nate Rhyme says ship-wide competitive Halo tournament. Claptrap says start peace talks with Atriox and then have both sides do monkey party while not fighting.
What?
I don't know. Nate says so basically the unofficial Christmas truce of 1914 on the Western Front. Matt says flash dance.
Yeah.
Third says LAN party. Ian says to do a barrel roll. Shadow of Oni says ship-wide laser tag tournament. Winner gets the gold Civi Warthog from Halo 2, and loser gets to be put in a cryo tube indefinitely. That's kind of harsh.
Ouch.
Jedi Spartan says host a Warthog run across the ship and give the winner a Moa burger.
Nice.
Hector says he should partay because I don't know, I guess he just should. Dezuto says he should host one of Mo's special splash parties. I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know. Sounds good.
Splash parties. Shadow of Oni says a party in honor of the best host, Colin, ... Wait, no, I mean Krista. And at this point, everyone commented with my uwu face emote. There's like 30 of them. Right? And the emotes just keep continuing. I'm still scrolling. Nate says, you better mention this shit, Krista. And then Shadowvoni says, if Krista doesn't mention this, then we simply vote her off as being the best host. No, wait. She will probably still be the best host. So, there you go. That's what happened. I saw all the emotes and I'm like, oh my god, if Colin sees this, I can just see the rage building.
Now I need to go check it out.
Yeah.
Don't delete them. I want to see.
I won't.
See the fun.
It devolves very quickly.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody for participating as always in the final mission of the main campaign of Halo Wars 2. That'll do it for a debriefing of the last stand mission from Halo Wars 2. On the next episode, we'll be recapping our coverage of this main campaign. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. And don't forget that free audiobook trial. Visit audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. Until next time, evolve.
Evolve.
Evolve.